Ali, Ali says my sound's good. All righty. Um, well, why don't we get started? So good to be with everybody this morning. So I've got this PowerPoint that I put together about intercom. And the funny thing is, I put this together right before the pandemic. And then we launched into all sorts of other things, and then I never really went back to it. And so as I was kind of planning out what the next 6 months would look like, I went back and I found this. And so I kind of brushed it up a little bit. And so here we go. So it's, I don't know, almost 2 years old. And of course, still relevant. So, talk about intercom. We have the situation with the pandemic, right, where things have spiked a little bit. We got cold weather. We have the usual kind of winter doldrums, so to speak. Accented by the pandemic, and so it's easy to get caught up in all the energy around us. The question becomes really how do we wall ourselves off a little bit, gives ourselves just a little bit of barrier from everything that's going on around us, so that we can get peace inside, right? And once we find peace inside, then it's a lot easier for us to deal with all the kind of madness that goes on, right? Because the days are chaotic, and especially in our industry with we're dealing with buyers and sellers, and there's anxiety and multiple offers and all these things, right? So how do we find our intercom? So that's what we're going to talk about today, just some strategies on how to do that. So the first thing is how do we reduce our brain chatter? Now, for those of you who have been on a lot of these calls, you've heard me say this before. And it was how it was described to me is that the heart feels and the brain calculates. And so we get brain chatter, right? And it's relentless, talks constantly, all the time. You can do this, you can't do that. You're not good at this. You should be doing that, right? What about if this happens? What about that happens? You didn't get that done, right? All that type of stuff. And so how do we reduce our brain chatter in a way where that, you can't really shut it off totally, exactly. I mean, you can if you do like deep meditation and some practices like that, but how do we get it just to calm down a little bit? And so I'm not really recommending meditation, although if you're inclined to do so, I would encourage it. But at a minimum, take 10 minutes at the beginning of the day and the end of the day and just sit quietly. Okay. Could be in your kitchen, it could be, reading the newspaper. I know it sounds kind of archaic, right? Or just whatever it is, just sit quietly and see if you can not have a lot of interruptions. Only 10 minutes. Okay. We wait 10 minutes to go to Starbucks, okay, or Dunkin' Donuts to go get a coffee in the morning. So just find 10 minutes where at the beginning of the day and the end of the day, where you can sit quietly and just let that chatter just kind of calm down and let it kind of melt away, right? Then what you might find is you might find that you might be more interested in things like meditation. Next is find space. And of course, it's winter, so it might be a little hard to do, but it might be going for a walk. It might be finding that quiet place in your house. Might be going for a drive. Might be going to the gym, or pick anything, okay? But find space that's just for yourself, okay? And it gives you space away from people. I mean, my practices are, you guys probably already know this, right? Is gym in the morning and typically some form of meditation, and that's how I find my space. And the rest of the day, the rest of the day is going to be what it's going to be, and I'm okay with that. But see if you can find your space, okay, where that you're just kind of by yourself, right? And you're giving yourself distance from other people. And really what you're doing is you're giving yourself distance from other people's energies, right? The other thing which I always have appreciated is that no matter how sideways things are, it's only a moment in time and it will end. So regardless of how chaotic things are or how unstable things are, whatever the case may be, right? Or maybe how comfortable you are or uncomfortable you are with something, it's only a moment in time, and time goes by quickly, as we all know, and it will end. The time will end. And so by thinking that way, it helps you not get trapped in the moment. Okay, because today is tomorrow's yesterday, and time, time just flies by. And so there's no reason to get anchored too much in the moment. We have to be present and understand the moment. But whatever is going on that's a little sideways or that's uncomfortable, it's going to end. And it's going to end faster than you think it is. Don't absorb other people's energy by being present to your own. So in other words, what I mean by that is if you're present to yourself, okay, it's a lot easier not to get absorbed into other people's energy. Okay, because what happens is that we get around other people, like we've all been there, right? Other people are chaotic or they're upset about something. We're naturally empathic. We're a naturally empathic species, and so when someone's upset about something, right? We our heart tends to gravitate to them. And there's a difference between sympathy and empathy, right? You know, sympathy is, I always like to say it this way, sympathy is, oh my God, you poor thing. This is awful. I can't believe this happened to you. Or, empathy is, well, I understand. Okay. There's a difference between the two of those. And so if you can keep your own presence about you, right, and not get absorbed by somebody else's energy, where you're really kind of more of an observer, all right, it's a lot less it's a lot less stressful on your energy. Read books. Find a good book, whether you do audiobooks or book books, or Kindle, whatever the case may be. That's all part of that, giving yourself space. Okay. Giving yourself, that room to kind of, be on your own. Okay. Gives your brain, cuts down the brain chatter, gives you the opportunity to kind of get into something else. Okay, it could be fiction or nonfiction, whatever you prefer. But read something. Okay, this is one of my favorites. Don't watch the news. Now, I know that's hard. And in some ways it might be a little counterintuitive. It's like, well, how am I going to know what's going on if I don't watch the news? Well, I'll give you just a little bit of commentary, whether you're conservative or liberal, it doesn't really matter. Most of the news isn't really the news anyways. If you really want to watch the news, okay, well, listen to the BBC or something like that, because they have an entirely different viewpoint on what goes on here. But the news has its own energy to it, regardless of what your affiliations or your leanings are. And really what you want is you want to find a way where you're in control of what you're watching or what you're listening to or what you're reading. And my brother actually turned this on to me years ago. Flipboard. It's an app. You can get it for Apple or Android. And you basically go through. I was showing a friend of mine this at the gym. Yeah, you can go through and download the app, and then you go in and you pick whatever it is you want to get. You want to get articles on or video. Could be, like, for me, it's architecture, fitness, psychology, energetic studies, the economy, personal growth, sports, that type of stuff, right? So you could pick anything you want. You could pick the state of New Hampshire. You could pick the city of Concord. You can do anything, right? But that leaves you in control of what you're ingesting, okay? As opposed to, watching the news and it's all meant to incite, okay, some level of interest, really, outside of just being informed, okay? Like the Walter Cronkite days, for those of us who can remember that. I was just a kid, but that's when news was impartial, okay? And today, if you want impartiality and you want to be in control of your own energy around it, then you're going to have to find sources. And I think Flipboard, there's probably others out there that you can go research. I think Flipboard's a good one, okay? You're in control of what you read. Now, for me, when I want to take 10 minutes during the day, okay, and kind of create some space, in between meetings and calls, I'll actually go read Flipboard. And it's literally, you just flip through it on your phone, and I'll just go through and just read whatever's going on. And it's stuff I like. I like stuff about housing, of course. I like architecture. I like archaeology, right? All those things. So it's not business related. Some is, but a lot of it's my pastimes, history. Okay, so that's a really good way for you to find your own space. And then lastly, cleansing breaths. Now, a lot of times we take cleansing breaths, but we don't do it consciously. We do it kind of subconsciously. And a cleansing breath lowers your heart rate. It reduces your stress and anxiety. It synchronizes the two hemispheres of your brain, right? Left side, right side. Relaxes the body by lowering the blood pressure, and it lowers the effects of sleep, of stress, and then helps you sleep better. And I think intentionally when things get busy, okay, like before I start this, right, I do a cleansing breath, okay? If I'm going into, if I'm just coming off a series of meetings and I'm rushing to another one, I'll just pause for a minute and I'll take a cleansing breath. And those are really helpful, and they'll really help you just be more centered, okay? You find in Kabbalah, right, which is um, kind of Jewish mysticism, they talk about your middle pillar, okay, and if it more in Eastern, in Eastern studies, right, it's your chakras, right, that run down the center, and so that cleansing breath helps you get closer to your center, right? So powerful. You can do it anytime. You do it as many times a day as you want. Your body is always happy to have a cleansing breath. So have a great week. And we're going to have a three-part series next week, and starting next week, and it'll be on willpower. And I'm excited about that. That's going to be a lot of fun. So have a great week. Talk to everybody later. Take care.